Hi, welcome to Overall Box Guitar Tuition. So today's classic album inspection is the fourth album by Dio. It's 35 years old today, July 21st, 1987 was released, and of course it's Dream Evil. So what's important about this album in the Dio canon, it's the first full album featuring Craig Goldy. So Vivian Campbell had left after the recording of Sacred Heart. I can't remember if he did any dates on that tour. I think he did, because there's the intermission album with him playing on that. And then Goldie took over. I remember, and we had a show called The Tube in the UK, and that was around 86. They played Rock and Roll Children. I think they played live on The Tube, and Craig Goldy was on guitar by then, but he hadn't yet made an album, and this is the first one. So how does this differ? I think Dio had something to prove. Basically kept the same lineup: Jimmy Bain, Claude Schnell, Vinny Appice. But obviously Vivian had gone, and they, really bad-mouthed Dio. This record, at the time, I was kind of, it's all right, I listened to it. I wasn't massive on Sacred Heart. I wasn't really into Craig Goldy as a replacement. As time's gone on, I kind of view it a little differently now. And I think, although it doesn't hit the highs of Holy Diver or Last in Line, I do think it's got a bit more about it than Sacred Heart, and I do think Craig Goldy acquits himself well. The difference with the sound of this is the guitar is a little kind of warmer, a little kind of fuzzier, more like Rainbow, and I think it's got quite a Rainbow sound in this, and in that respect it probably wasn't really the record Dio needed to make in order to kind of thrive. By this point it's glam metal. There's a thing where people are going more commercial, but maybe Dio, if he'd gone kind of heavier but melodic and aligned himself with thrash bands, not going in a thrash style but that heaviness, that might have fared better. By this point on this tour they were playing kind of half full kind of arenas, whereas they were playing kind of full ones, I think, certainly on the Sacred Heart tour, or certainly one before that, Last in Line. But it opens with Night People, which every band member gets a credit on. It's 4 minutes and 6. This is a good opener. It's quite an up-tempo track. It's a good kind of Dio. He often starts with an up-tempo track, but it's not as heavy as Stand Up and Shout or We Rock. I think what you notice on this album, it makes more use of Claude Schnell's keyboards. They're more prevalent. That's obviously, I think, really to kind of smooth off the sound, to add a bit more of a commercial element, which is a common thing by this point. Not in Dio specifically, but in bands in the 80s. The companies, the record companies, are pushing for more accessibility, and keyboards, vocal harmonies, things like that will provide that accessibility. But it's a good track, and it's a good opener. And the next you've got the title track. This is Dio Goldy writing this, 4 minutes 26. This is where you kind of hear the Rainbow influence. It's got a Man on the Silver Mountain kind of riff. Pretty cool solo. Ronnie does, obviously, of course, he does a great vocal. So it's a good track. Prefer it to Night People. So two good openers. Like I say, not the level of like a double whammy of like We Rock or Last in Line or Stand Up and Shout to Holy Diver, but probably opening stronger than the Sacred Heart album, although I quite like the opening tracks on that. Then you got Sunset Superman. I'm not sure what a Sunset Superman is. It must be a reference maybe to kind of people on Sunset Strip, being a kind of fantasy lyric. Again, all the band get a co-writing credit on this. Family's 45. Interesting solo on this. Again, I quite like this track. It's good, it's solid, and then finally we have All the Full Sail Away. So this is probably the most epic track Dio done up to this point. 7 minutes and 10 seconds, getting certainly as long as Egypt. It is a really good track, this. Dio, obviously great vocals, got that classic kind of clean intro that Ronnie likes to do at this time. Really good solo by Craig Goldy. And that was the end of side one. So I'd say like side one's strong without ever totally, to me, delivering a track where you go, wow, that's an amazing Dio track. It hasn't got a Straight Through the Heart or a Don't Talk to Strangers or One Night in the City. But it is good, it is consistent, and it's a little more settled and knows what it wants to be than the Sacred Heart album. So on to side 2, then you got Naked in the Rain. This is quite a funky riff. Well, certainly the groove is. It's 5 minutes to 9. Music Dio, so Dio gets the whole right. If you forget, Ronnie used to play bass. He also played a bit of guitar. There you go, singers. Make sure you take up guitar or piano. You know, even if you don't get great at it, it'll give you good pitch. Look at Dio, look at Halford. They can both play guitar. So Naked in the Rain, yeah. Again, I don't think it's a great track, but a good solid 6 out of 10. I would say the same with the next track, Overlove. Again, this has got like a kind of chicken pick riff, kind of got that Deep Purple Rainbow vibe, but it's got the kind of Van Halen boogie. So the kind of touching base with what's gone on in the last few years with metal. Obviously, the band Van Halen boogie kind of goes back to a track called Parchment Farm by Cactus. I nearly said Texas then. So, you know, it's so yeah, Apache Craig Goldy Rice 349. Yeah, it's you know, a zippy track. Yeah, I give it a 6 out of 10. I don't love the track, but it still adds something to the album. Then you got I Could Have Been a Dreamer. This is like the single. This is the commercial track. It's the Rock and Roll Children, Hungry for Heaven style track. I watched a thing online. It was something like the Contrarians or some Martin Popoff thing, and someone said it reminded him of Tina Turner, like a Tina Turner song. I could have been a dreamer, and I've kind of since then I'm like, yeah, Tina Turner could do this. I like this. Like, it's got a really kind of simple riff, but it's got a really good chorus hook. Quite a cool solo break. Again, I don't think it's great, but it is a good track. Then the album finishes with maybe the two best tracks on the album for me, with all the Full Sail Away. We've got Faces in a Window, which is an up-tempo track. Again, the whole band's writing on this, 3 minutes 53. Really good. Cool lyric, good vocal. And then we get When a Woman Cries. This makes a really good use of Claude Chanel's keyboard. He does quite a gothic keyboard part, which is kind of countering to the music in a way. Really good finishing track. And that's the album, yeah, 43 minutes. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. There's people who think this is kind of the last classic Dio album. I would say it's the kind of last Dio album in his period where he was kind of getting front covers of magazines and stuff like that. I don't think this album even goes gold. Things do tail off, but I do think it's more consistent than the Sacred Heart album. Again, it's an album I've listened to quite a lot recently. I've sort of tried to get into it more, but I've kind of reached that point where I'm like, I think this is a 7 out of 10. I do enjoy listening to it, but it hasn't, you know, got the power of those first two albums. Even Holy Diver for me is a notch above. You know, Dio's albums go like that, then back up, and then after that, he's, you know, trying to find his feet in different things. I think, like I've probably said this before, or maybe not yet, I think one of the things I'm realising about this era is bands were getting kind of pushed to do kind of commercial things, but what they needed to do was look what the underground movement was doing, and the thrash bands were starting to get gold albums, Metallica, Slayer and stuff. Later on, Dio will go really heavy on Dehumanizer, Black Sabbath, and he'll do it particularly on the Strange Highways. Now, if he got a bit more heavy at this point, it might not gain new fans, but it might keep fans more. So if you've got a better blend of melody and muscle, and the same applies to Judas Priest and the Scorpions, you know, both making more commercial sound and going heavier when it's a bit too late. But it's difficult for these older bands, you know, on tour, they're in a bubble. And it's hard sometimes to take sort of stock of the scene. But, you know, people have different opinions. But anyway, that's Dream Evil. It's 35 years old today. I still remember when it came out. I still remember putting it on the first time. Yeah, remember to share and subscribe. Have another classic album inspection for you soon. I hope you enjoyed that. And thanks very much for checking us out. Cheers.